The Persian Empire Explained. Part 2a, Xerxes, the Invasion of Greece, and the 300 Spartans. Chapter 19. In 486 BC, the mighty Persian Empire stood at the height of its power. It stretched from the fertile lands of Egypt to the distant valleys of India. More than 40 nations lived under one crown, speaking different languages, following different religions, and practicing different customs. At the center of this vast empire stood a new king, Xerxes I, the son of Darius the Great. Although Darius had transformed Persia into the world's greatest empire, he had one unfinished mission: revenge against Greece. Years earlier, the Persians had suffered an unexpected defeat at the Battle of Marathon. For the first time, the seemingly invincible empire had been pushed back by a small group of Greek city-states. The defeat wounded Persian pride. Xerxes vowed to finish what his father had started. But before marching west, he first had to secure his empire. Chapter 20. Preparing for the greatest invasion. For 4 years, Xerxes prepared for war. Across the empire, blacksmiths forged thousands of swords, spears, and arrowheads. Shipbuilders worked day and night, constructing one of the largest fleets the ancient world had ever seen. Engineers built bridges, repaired roads, and gathered supplies. Every province contributed soldiers: Persians, Medes, Babylonians, Egyptians, Phoenicians, Indians, Scythians, and many others. Ancient Greek historians claimed Xerxes commanded more than 2 million men. Modern historians believe the real number was likely between 150,000 and 250,000 soldiers, supported by hundreds of warships. Even at this lower estimate, it was one of the largest military expeditions of the ancient world. To cross from Asia into Europe, Persian engineers accomplished an extraordinary feat. They built 2 floating bridges across the Hellespont, by tying hundreds of ships together and laying wooden planks across them. According to Herodotus, the first bridges were destroyed by a violent storm. Enraged, Xerxes supposedly ordered the sea itself to be punished. His men symbolically whipped the water and threw chains into it. Whether the story is entirely true or not, it reflected the image many Greeks had of Xerxes, a ruler whose ambition knew no limits. Soon, new bridges were completed. The invasion had begun. Chapter 21. Greece faces the storm. Fear swept across Greece. Unlike Persia, Greece was not a single nation, but was divided into independent city-states: Athens, Sparta, Corinth, Thebes. Each had its own government, army, and rivalries. Many believed resistance was hopeless. Some city-states surrendered to Persia without a fight. Others chose to resist. For the first time in generations, long-time rivals united against a common enemy. The Greeks knew they could never defeat Persia in an open field. Instead, they searched for a place where Persia's overwhelming numbers would become useless. They found it at a narrow mountain pass called Thermopylae. Chapter 22. Leonidas and the 300 Spartans. Leading the Greek defense was King Leonidas of Sparta. Sparta was unlike any other Greek city. Its entire society revolved around war. From childhood, Spartan boys entered the agoge, a brutal training system designed to create fearless soldiers. Discipline, endurance, loyalty, courage. These values shaped every Spartan warrior. Leonidas marched north with 300 elite Spartans. They were joined by thousands of soldiers from other Greek cities. Although history remembers the 300 Spartans, the total Greek force at Thermopylae was likely around 7,000 men. Still, they faced an army many times larger. The odds seemed impossible. Yet Leonidas had one advantage: the narrow pass of Thermopylae. Here, Persia's numerical superiority could not easily surround the defenders. The battlefield itself became Greece's greatest ally. Chapter 23. The battle begins. The Persian army arrived. Xerxes expected the Greeks to flee. Instead, they stood silently behind their shields. For 4 days, neither side attacked. Xerxes believed fear would force the Greeks to surrender. He was wrong. On the 5th day, he gave the order. The Persian infantry advanced. Wave after wave crashed against the Greek line. The Spartans fought with unmatched discipline. Their long spears reached farther than Persian weapons. Their heavy bronze armor protected them from arrows and swords. Whenever Spartan soldiers became tired, fresh warriors rotated into the front line. Hour after hour, the Persian attacks failed. Even the elite immortals could not break the Greek formation. Xerxes watched in disbelief. His greatest army had been stopped by only a few thousand defenders. Chapter 24. Betrayal at Thermopylae. But every fortress has a weakness. A local Greek named Ephialtes betrayed his homeland. He revealed a hidden mountain path leading behind the Greek position. Under the cover of darkness, Persian troops marched through the mountains. At dawn, Leonidas learned the terrible news. His army was surrounded. Many Greek soldiers were ordered to retreat. Leonidas chose to stay. Alongside his 300 Spartans, several hundred Thespians, and a small force of Thebans, he prepared for one final stand. They knew they would never return home, yet they remained, not because they expected victory, but because they believed freedom was worth dying for. Chapter 25. A Last Stand. The final battle was brutal. Greek spears shattered, swords broke, the fighting became hand-to-hand. King Leonidas himself was killed. The Spartans fought desperately to recover his body. Surrounded from every side, the defenders continued until nearly every man had fallen. When their weapons were gone, they fought with knives. When the knives broke, they fought with their bare hands. Eventually, Persian arrows darkened the sky. The last defenders disappeared beneath the storm. Thermopylae had fallen. It was a Persian victory. Yet something unexpected happened. Instead of celebrating Persia's triumph, the world remembered the courage of those who stood against impossible odds. The sacrifice of Leonidas and his men became one of history's greatest symbols of bravery. Their stand bought precious time for the Greek alliance to prepare its defenses. Chapter 26. The Fall of Athens. After the victory at strong Thermopylae, the road to central Greece lay open. King Xerxes ordered his massive army to march south. Most of the people of strong Athens had already abandoned the city, following the advice of their leader, strong Themistocles. Women, children, and the elderly were evacuated to nearby islands, while the Greek navy gathered near the narrow strait of Salamis. When the Persians entered Athens, they found it nearly empty. The magnificent temples on the Acropolis were looted and burned. Smoke rose above the city. To Xerxes, it appeared that victory was close. Athens had fallen, but the Greek resistance had not. Chapter 27. Themistocles' Brilliant Plan. While Xerxes celebrated, Themistocles was preparing a bold gamble. The Persian fleet was enormous, perhaps more than 600 warships from across the empire. The Greeks had only about 370 triremes. In open water, Persia's superior numbers could surround and crush the Greek navy. Themistocles understood this, so he chose the battlefield carefully. The narrow waters between the island of Salamis and the Greek mainland would prevent the Persian fleet from using its full strength. To lure Xerxes into the trap, Themistocles secretly sent a message claiming that the Greeks were frightened and planning to escape during the night. Believing he could destroy the Greek fleet before it fled, Xerxes ordered his ships into the strait. It was exactly what Themistocles wanted. Chapter 28. The Battle of Salamis. At dawn in 480 BC, the battle began. The Persian fleet crowded into the narrow channel. Ships struggled to maneuver. Oars collided. Captains could barely see the enemy through the confusion. Then the Greek triremes charged. Each ship was built for speed and equipped with a heavy bronze ram at its bow. Greek captains drove their vessels directly into Persian ships, smashing holes below the waterline. One after another, Persian ships began to sink. Their larger numbers became a disadvantage. Unable to move freely, they blocked one another's paths. From a nearby hillside, Xerxes watched the battle unfold from a golden throne. He expected a glorious victory. Instead, he witnessed disaster. By sunset, much of the Persian fleet had been destroyed or scattered. The Battle of Salamis became one of the greatest naval victories in history. It changed the course of the war. Chapter 29, Xerxes retreats. The loss at Salamis placed Xerxes in a difficult position. Without naval superiority, supplying his enormous army became increasingly dangerous. Winter was approaching. Rather than risk being trapped in Greece, Xerxes decided to return to Persia. Of his army, he left behind a powerful force under the command of his trusted general, Mardonius, with orders to finish the conquest. Although Persia still possessed a formidable army, the balance of the war had begun to shift. The Greeks sensed that victory was now possible. Chapter 30, the Battle of Plataea. In 479 BC, the final major battle of the Persian invasion took place near the town of Plataea. A united Greek army faced the remaining Persian forces. The fighting was fierce. Persian archers filled the sky with arrows. Greek hoplites advanced in disciplined formations, protected by heavy bronze armor and long spears. During the battle, General Mardonius was killed, and his death shattered Persian morale. The Persian army broke apart and retreated. On the same day, according to ancient tradition, another Greek force defeated the remaining Persian fleet at the Battle of Mycale on the coast of Asia Minor. Within a single year, Persia's dream of conquering Greece had come to an end. Chapter 31, Defeat without collapse. Although Greece celebrated, it is important to remember one fact. The Persian Empire had not been destroyed. It remained the largest and richest empire on earth. Its cities continued to flourish. Its trade routes remained active. Its kings still ruled millions of people across 3 continents. The Greek victories prevented Persian expansion into mainland Greece, but they did not end Persian power. For another 150 years, Persia remained one of the dominant forces of the ancient world. Chapter 32, the Golden Age of Persia. Back in Persia, life continued to prosper. The empire reached a remarkable level of organization. Roads connected distant provinces. Royal messengers carried news across thousands of kilometers. Merchants traded safely from Egypt to India. Farmers cultivated fertile lands. Engineers constructed canals and irrigation systems. The Persian kings invested heavily in architecture. Magnificent palaces rose in Persepolis, Susa, and Pasargadae. Stone carvings depicted representatives from every corner of the empire, bringing gifts to the king, not as slaves, but as subjects united under one government. Persia became famous for its tolerance. Unlike many conquerors, Persian rulers generally allowed local peoples to keep their own languages, customs, and religions, as long as they remained loyal and paid taxes. This policy helped maintain peace across an incredibly diverse empire. Chapter 33, a civilization ahead of its time. Persia's achievements extended far beyond warfare. Its engineers built bridges and canals. Its administrators developed one of the ancient world's most efficient systems of government. Its economy benefited from standardized weights, measures, and coinage. Its postal network allowed messages to travel faster than ever before. Its respect for different cultures helped unify millions of people from dozens of ethnic backgrounds. Many ideas that later influenced other great empires, especially administration, taxation, and infrastructure, had already been practiced by the Persians. The empire had become a model of organization and stability. Yet beneath this strength, small cracks were beginning to appear. Court rivalries grew. Power struggles increased. Future kings would face challenges that even the vast wealth of Persia could not easily solve. And in the distant west, a young prince from Macedonia was growing into one of history's greatest military commanders. His name was Alexander. He would soon change the fate of Persia forever. Powerful state in the known world. Its borders stretched from the Indus River in the east to the Mediterranean Sea in the west. From the mountains of Central Asia to the deserts of Egypt, nearly 50 million people lived under Persian rule. No empire before it had governed such a vast and diverse population. Travelers moving through the empire encountered countless languages, traditions, and cultures. Yet all recognized one supreme authority, the King of Kings. Chapter 35. The Royal Court. The Persian king lived in magnificent palaces at Persepolis, Susa, and Babylon. The royal court reflected the empire's immense wealth. Walls were decorated with colorful glazed bricks and intricate stone carvings. Golden furniture, silver vessels, and richly woven carpets filled the palace halls. When ambassadors visited, they witnessed ceremonies designed to display the king's power. Representatives from every province brought gifts: gold from Nubia, fine horses from Central Asia, ivory from Africa, spices from India, wine from Anatolia. Each delegation wore its traditional clothing, symbolizing the diversity of the empire. The message was clear: many nations, one empire. Chapter 36. Everyday life in Persia. While kings ruled from grand palaces, ordinary Persians lived very different lives. Most people were farmers. They cultivated wheat, barley, grapes, dates, and vegetables. Irrigation canals transformed dry lands into productive farms. Merchants traveled safely along the royal road, carrying silk, precious stones, perfumes, and metals between distant cities. Craftsmen produced beautiful goods, jewelry, pottery, textiles, and metalwork. Women in Persia enjoyed more legal rights than in many neighboring civilizations. Historical records suggest that some women owned property, managed estates, and even supervised workers. Children learned family trades, while members of noble families received education in leadership, warfare, and administration. Daily life reflected stability and prosperity that few ancient societies could match. Chapter 37. The Persian Army. Although Persia valued peace and trade, its military remained one of the strongest in the ancient world. The empire did not rely on one single people. Instead, soldiers came from every province: Persian archers, Median cavalry, Egyptian sailors, Phoenician naval crews, Indian infantry, Scythian horsemen. This diversity gave the Persian army extraordinary flexibility. Its commanders could adapt to deserts, mountains, forests, and open plains. Protecting the king were the legendary immortals, whose ranks were always kept at exactly 10,000 soldiers. They became symbols of Persian strength throughout the ancient world. Chapter 38. Signs of decline. Despite its enormous success, the empire faced growing problems. After Xerxes, several kings inherited the throne. Some ruled wisely. Others became trapped in palace conspiracies. Succession disputes became increasingly common. Powerful nobles competed for influence. Some governors gained too much authority. Maintaining control over such a vast territory became more difficult each year. At the same time, conflicts with the Greek city-states continued. Although Persia remained wealthy, constant wars drained resources. The empire still appeared strong from the outside, but internally, its foundations were beginning to weaken. Chapter 39. A new threat in the West. While Persia dealt with internal challenges, events were unfolding across the Aegean Sea. In northern Greece, the kingdom of Macedon was rising. Its king, Philip II, transformed the Macedonian army into one of the most disciplined fighting forces in history. Using the long sarissa spear and innovative battlefield tactics, Philip defeated rival Greek states and united much of Greece under his leadership. Before he could invade Persia, Philip was assassinated. His ambitious young son inherited both the throne and his father's dream. His name was Alexander. Chapter 40. The Young Prince. Alexander was only 20 years old when he became king. Many believed he lacked the experience to rule. They were mistaken. Trained by the philosopher Aristotle and inspired by the heroes of Greek legend, Alexander possessed extraordinary intelligence, courage, and ambition. He quickly crushed rebellions within Greece. Then he turned his attention east. His goal was nothing less than the conquest of the Persian Empire. To many observers, the idea seemed impossible. Persia possessed greater wealth, more soldiers, more cities, and a territory many times larger than Macedonia. Yet history was about to change forever. Chapter 41. The Calm Before the Storm. By 334 BC, Alexander crossed into Asia with approximately 40,000 soldiers. Compared with the resources of Persia, his army seemed tiny. The Persian king, Darius III, initially underestimated the young Macedonian. He believed local governors could stop the invasion. But Alexander's victories came quickly. City after city surrendered. The balance of power slowly began to shift. The world's greatest empire was about to face its greatest challenge. Ending. For more than 2 centuries, the Persian Empire had dominated the ancient world. It had connected continents through trade, built magnificent cities, respected diverse cultures, and created one of history's most advanced systems of government. Yet every great empire eventually meets a rival. For Persia, that rival was a brilliant young commander from Macedonia. The battles of Granicus, Issus, and Gaugamela would soon decide the fate of the ancient world's first super. In Part 3, we will witness Alexander the Great's conquest of Persia, the fall of Persepolis, the death of Darius III, and the lasting legacy of the Persian Empire.